So yeah, hi all. For those who don't know me from your LinkedIn inbox, my name is Natalie Sidwick and I'm a delivery consultant and proud member of Team PHP at SR2. Don't worry, I'm not going to be talking to you about recruitment for the next 10 minutes. No, I want to talk to you about mental health. Looking back on the last year, the biggest thing that I have taken away from it is just how important it is to look after your mental health. I'm not an expert, but hopefully by talking about it, I can help spread some awareness and also encourage others to do the same. So let's start with the first thing. What is mental health? So mental health can be defined as a state of well-being in which the individuals realize his or her own abilities, can cope with the normal stresses of life, can work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to his or her community. So what does this tell us? Mental health is on a spectrum, and this can range from having good mental health to poor mental health. It is a state, therefore it can change. Someone who has good mental health now may experience poor mental health in the future and vice versa. Just because we can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. Like physical health, everyone has a mental health, and we need to look after both for us to be happy humans. So when we talk about good mental health, what does that typically look like? A person with good mental health will feel in control of their emotions, have good cognitive functioning, and have positive interactions with people around them. This state allows a person to perform well at work and in family and other social relationships, whereas someone who may be experiencing poor mental health may be struggling with these aspects. A mental illness is a condition that affects and disrupts a person's ability to work or carry out other daily activities and engage in satisfying personal relationships. Here's a list of some common mental health disorders people can experience, but in this talk, I'm going to focus on the ones most common in the workplace. These are depression, anxiety, and problems related to stress. Research has indicated that 1 in 4 will experience some form of mental ill health in the course of a year, and 1 in 6 workers will experience depression, anxiety, or stress-related issues at any one time, which is why I think it is so important that we are able to spot the signs that someone may be struggling and identify ways in which we are able to help. First of all, depression. We can all have down days and feel sad from time to time. I mean, some people have to use Magento daily. Sorry, Magento devs. However, when the blue feeling lasts for over 2 weeks, it could be depression. Having a depressed mood affects your behavior and has physical and psychological effects. It also interferes with your ability to work and to have satisfying personal relationships. If you are concerned that someone may be depressed, you may notice things like significant changes in their behavior. Were they once really outgoing and confident, but now they are more reserved? It could be that they have started to withdraw from social situations, or maybe they're not wanting to do things that they usually like doing. It may be that you've noticed them neglecting themselves recently. This may be with their appearance or hygiene, or maybe they've lost their appetite and have lost a lot of weight recently. Anxiety is also an emotion that we all experience. It's pre-installed as a way of helping us to avoid danger and motivating us to solve problems. However, an anxiety disorder differs in its intensity, the amount of time the anxiety lasts, and how much it interferes with someone's life, work, and relationships. Symptoms of anxiety can be physical, psychological, and behavioral. I'm sure everyone here has experienced some of the physical symptoms of anxiety. Things like chest pain, heartbeat, shortness of breath, disrupted sleep, and for me personally, my neck and shoulders start to ache. The psychological symptoms can be things like unrealistic and/or excessive fear and worry about the past or future events. For example, is my code commit going to fall apart in production? It might be decreased concentration and memory, or possibly difficulty making decisions, or maybe you're feeling restless or on edge when you do. These are all psychological symptoms we may experience. And then we have behavioral, and this can be avoidance of situations, repetitive compulsive behavior, and distress in social situations. Finally, stress. Again, we all know stress. Stress can be described as a mental or emotional strain that comes from challenging or demanding circumstances. When it comes to the workplace, 6 sources of stress have been identified, including demands. This can be things like workload or deadlines you need to hit. Control, how much say you have in the code you're writing. Support, how supported you feel by your team and manager. Relationships, promoting a positive working environment where conflict is minimal and is resolved quickly. Role, where you know your role in the team and your responsibilities. Basically, not having lots of conflicting roles and trying to juggle loads. And change, how well change is managed and communicated. When we think about stress, it's worth considering a person's tolerance to stress, which is where the stress container model comes in. A person's vulnerability is represented by the size of the container into which everyday stresses flow. When the container overflows, problems arise. People with low vulnerability have big containers which can take in a lot, and people with high vulnerability have smaller containers which overflow more quickly. We can, however, develop helpful coping methods like making time for doing things we enjoy, such as cooking, running, and so on, that act as a tap which let the stress out of the container. On the other hand, we can also develop unhelpful coping methods. For example, working long hours, drinking alcohol, that become additional stresses which fill the container and block the tap. So what might this look like on a typical day? Your day starts with you waking up 30 minutes late as you've slept through your alarm. Your container starts to fill as you have to log on in 15 minutes. Due to you rushing, you end up spilling your coffee all over the counter. You think you're going to get 10 minutes to eat your breakfast in peace, but your phone starts to ring. It's a cowboy recruiter trying to sell you a Java job. You finally get off the phone and sit down to your desk. Up pops an email from your team lead with another arbitrary deadline. You then get a call from support. You know that feature you just finished? Can you make it do something else? You're at your wit's end and your container can hold no more. So what happens? You end up emotionally snapping with a reaction something like this. All of the minor stresses build up, resulting in the container overflowing. On another day where your container was less full, you may have responded to the support's question in a completely different way. It is important that we are able to find ways to relieve some of our stress where possible and better manage it. This may be taking some deep breaths or going for a walk. Any mindful behavior that can help us remain calm and prevent us from wanting to throw our laptop out of the window. Another thing to keep in mind is ways you might be able to help others. If you know a colleague is stressed about their workload, you might ask if there's any of their work you can pick up to help them hit that deadline. Sometimes it can be the smallest acts of kindness from others that can turn your bad day around. Now, let me ask you a question. How are you? What's your automatic response to this? I don't know about you guys, but for me, it's always, I'm good or I'm fine. How are you? I could be having the worst day and have been crying 20 minutes earlier, but my response will still be, I'm fine. For some reason, we see this question as more of a greeting that we look to brush over as quick as possible to get onto another topic. But actually, how are you is possibly the most important question you could ask someone. A great way of making sure that we don't just skip over this question is asking how are you twice. This way, you're much more likely to get an honest response. When someone does open up to you about how they are feeling, it is important that you listen without judgment. Non-judgmental listening involves responding with acceptance, genuineness, and finally empathy, putting yourself in the other person's shoes. What is it that that person is feeling? Show that you hear and understand what the other person is saying. Once you have listened to what the other person has had to say, it puts you in a better position to help and support them. It's important that we treat that person with respect and are non-blaming. If someone has opened up to you, try and provide consistent emotional support whilst also giving hope for recovery. Sometimes the support needed is more than you are able to offer. So it can be good to ask if the other person would like to be directed to someone who can provide practical help, which may be in the form of professional. Research has shown that there are 10 key areas for happier living, which can be remembered with great dream, shown on screen. I won't go into all of these, but a couple of them stand out for me. Relating. Possibly the most important thing is for us to connect with others. If you are struggling, talk to someone that you trust or a professional. There's people out there who will understand and be able to help you. Acceptance. As well as accepting others, it's just as important to be comfortable with who you are and know that nobody's perfect. We all make mistakes and that is okay. And finally, meaning. Be part of something bigger. I think the world of technology is great for this, as its way of making a real positive impact to many people's lives. So joining a company that are doing something that you are genuinely passionate about can be a great way of bringing meaning to your life. And I thought I'd finish by showing off some of the little things that I have found to be really helpful with looking after my own mental health. And hopefully some of you might like to try. So one small thing that I find sets me up for having a good day is writing a gratitude list. It might be something small like, I'm grateful for being able to go on a walk with a friend. It's about looking at all the positives in your life rather than the negatives. Another useful thing is to write 3 things that went well that day. Again, it's easy to focus on the negatives, but by reminding yourself of all the good things that happened, it helps to shift your mindset to a more positive one. Self-affirmations are also great. Sometimes the beliefs that we have about ourselves can be negative or critical and can hold us back. By writing things down like, I am good enough just as I am, it can help change our belief systems and mindset to more positive ones. Personally, the thing that has helped me the most is educating myself on it and becoming more self-aware and understanding my own emotions. Here's some of the amazing books and podcasts out there which have really helped me. And finally, the last and most important thing is to make sure you make time to do something that you genuinely enjoy each day. This could be cooking a nice meal, reading a book, gaming, meditation, going to the gym, cycling, or even attending a PHP meetup. Whatever it is, do it for no other reason than it makes you feel good. And on that note, I'll let you enjoy Ben's talk on serverless lamp stack. I hope you found that insightful and useful. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, are you happy? We've got a couple of questions. Are you happy to have questions?
Sure.
Sure. Okay, brilliant. Mark has asked, have you tried mindfulness? I found it to be the most useful thing for me when I'm struggling, focus on the little positive things.
Yeah, definitely. One thing that really helps me is just kind of bringing it back to the moment. So I think sometimes we're always worried about past events or kind of the future, but actually something really kind of simple as just going on a walk and just being in the moment and seeing what's around you as well. Taking it all in, or if you're eating a meal, don't be on your phone at the same time. Don't have your mind wandering elsewhere. Just focus on being in the moment, what you're eating, all the senses around you. That can really help. So yeah, mindfulness, definitely huge.
Brilliant. And we've got another question from Dan. Do you have any advice about how to handle a situation when you think a colleague is suffering from either a temporary or more longer term mental health issue, but they don't seem to want to acknowledge that it's affecting their job performance, either as a person's manager or co-worker?
Yeah, I think the first thing is to approach them and kind of just opening up a conversation. So asking how they are. And it's one of those where you may not get the response possibly that you're looking for straight away, but just kind of listening about their day and actually showing a genuine interest and kind of just letting them know that you are someone that they can trust and you're not going to be judging them or listen to what they have to say and don't bring it back to you and what you're thinking or feeling as well. Just kind of really listen to what they're saying. and it might not be straight away, but I think it's like just staying in contact and kind of helping to remind them of like good things that are happening as well. Yeah, it's one of those where it can be quite difficult to approach it, but I think if you do it in a way where you're just genuinely like concerned about them or want to know how they're doing, I think that can be like something really small like that can make a huge difference to them.
Cool, thank you. I really like your suggestion of asking someone if they're okay like twice.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I mean, I've had to train myself to, whenever somebody says that, I just say I'm great, thanks, and yeah. It's really
it's
positive.
like you go into autopilot almost, like it's just that natural response, but actually, yeah, like I said, it's the most important question you could ask someone, and just asking someone twice I think is a great like conversation opener to like start that.
Yeah. We've got a few other people who've suggested things on chat. One's going out for a run as a good stress outlet. I completely agree with that as well. The punch bag in my gym is a brilliant for stress too. And Ollie said ALGEE is the MHFA acronym for dealing with someone who's struggling with mental health. Now, I don't actually know what those acronyms mean, but Ollie, if you've got any more on that or some links,
MHFA is mental health first aiders, which some Brilliant. Workplaces will have.
Yeah, and also there is there's the mental health open source project as well, which we can probably tweet a link around or put it in chat or both, if people want to look more into it. Oh yeah, that's it. OSMI help. That's it. Yeah. Oh, you put it there. Yeah. So in chat, there's the osmihelp.org is another place to get help with this. And pets, my bunny is really something supportive. Actually, I've heard great things about owning pets, like having a dog. Just, I suppose it's because you've got someone that some companionship, but you're dragged out for a walk every day or twice a day. So that must comes back to the exercise. Must be really useful. So thanks very much for that talk, Natalie. I think we've answered all the questions. If people have questions, there's a little Q&A tab, which you should be able to see. And if you just pop any questions you got in there, then they can be answered. So yeah, thank you very much for that. I think everyone is applauding, but we can't can't hear it over Slack. Over Zoom. So yeah, thank you very much.
Oh no, I've really enjoyed it, and I feel a lot more calm now actually after I've like presented it. I don't feel as anxious now, which is always good. But yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, it went down well.